So far we've learned how to draw one point perspective where we have our horizon line, one vanishing point, and an object going towards that vanishing point. This is useful when we have the side of an object facing us flat on. So we clearly see the side, that's when we draw our box or the side of that object, draw our vanishing point, and then connect. But what we have more often than this is when we have a corner facing us instead of the side. And in that case, we would need two-point perspective, where we actually have two vanishing points. And the side of an object facing us. And in this case, we would need to draw the side first. So, in order to do that, I'm going to draw one line straight up and down. We don't want it crooked, it needs to be straight up and down. This will become the corner of my object. And then I will connect both sides of that line to both of those vanishing points. This is two-point perspective, so we have two vanishing points. Connected it to one side, and now I'm going to connect it to my other side. Okay, so now just like before, we need its twin, but in this case, he's not a twin, he's a triplet. So, we need to replicate perfectly parallel line over here, and the same thing over here. Now I can make this a really short box and put it really close to the first guy, or I can make it a longer box and put it farther away from him. So now I have a box, kind of, but it has no back and no ceiling. So we need to create that. So what I'm going to do is connect these points to their opposite vanishing point. So this guy will come over here to the opposite vanishing point, and this guy will come over here to his opposite vanishing point. You're always going to do it to the vanishing point that's farthest away. So there's one, and now the other. So when I go back and erase, I have my cube. So now you're going to practice doing this, but above the horizon line, on the horizon line, below the horizon line, and at all different sizes. I want you to practice and experiment with having short boxes, tall boxes. These will eventually become the buildings to your city. And not all buildings look alike. Some are a little taller, some are a little shorter, and we want to kind of experiment with that. The only way you can really go wrong, and it's kind of a newbie mistake, is if you put your two vanishing points really close together. When you do that, you're going to have kind of a warped building that's kind of going to look like it has a fisheye effect. So I'll show you what that looks like. This is a non-example. This is what you will not want to do. So because I've put these two vanishing points really close together, it's going to look really funny. So here's my building now with two really close vanishing points. And as you can see, it has kind of a really strange perspective. This is what we don't want. This is what we do want. So make sure your vanishing points are pretty far away from each other. So I'm going to erase this. If I were to put one of my boxes above the vanishing points, then we would see the bottom of it instead of the top. Just like if you had a box floating over your head, you would see the bottom of it. You probably wouldn't see the top anymore because of your viewpoint. So I'm connecting both sides of that line to both vanishing points. I'm going to make this a bigger one. Draw my parallel triplets. So 1, 2, and 3, all perfectly parallel. And then I'm going to connect these to their vanishing points, to their opposite vanishing points. So this one's going to come over here so that they always cross, and this one's going to come over here. And now I have kind of a floating building because it's floating above the horizon line, which means that it's kind of floating in the sky, which is okay depending on what kind of city you want. If I want this to be on top of a large or of a smaller, narrower building, I can put another line right here, connect it, and kind of experiment with staggering these buildings. And now I can kind of erase this. We want to erase our lines that go to the vanishing point, but we really don't want to erase our horizon line because that's still there, unless buildings are totally covering it, like maybe in the city or something. But we want to keep that horizon line there. Okay, so now I have kind of this strange building with a bigger one on top. Okay, so experiment with staggering in this way, doing them above, on, or below, on, and above the horizon line.